Hey guys, Comic Boom here to talk about Wonder Woman issue 35, which gives us more details on the origin of Jason, her brother. Now I've been, those of you who have watched my previous videos, and for those of you who don't, I can tell you that that I'm not really a big fan of Jason. He has somewhat of a disappointment. I've made repeated jokes about his blue capri pants. I think he's a little bit of a disappointment, to say the least. I suspect he's probably an omega male at best, maybe a beta male. He just seems to be a very sort of boring character. Now, in fairness, I've been very hard on him. I have, and so I'm gonna try to be a little bit. I actually did a video of this already, and I scrapped it because I was so harsh on the video. I thought it was overkill. I was a little bit, even though I was the only one who watched it, I was a little bit embarrassed, so I thought, well, I better tone it back a bit. So I'm striving to be a little bit more objective here on this one, especially because I just like James Robinson as a writer, and even though I don't think this is the strongest narrative by any stretch, I just think that I owe it to the entire creative team to give some credit where it might be due, and to maybe not be so one-sided, because that was pretty harsh. But I do think Jason is it would have been nice. We're 4 issues in with this issue, and he still has his blue capri pants. That's an ongoing joke with me. He just looks. I think he's in desperate need of a new wardrobe. But in fairness to his choice of fashion, he was raised on the Greek islands by Glaucus, who was a member of Jason of the Argonauts. Jason of the Argonauts, not to be confused with Jason. Wonder Woman's twin brother Jason was named after Jason of the Argonauts. This origin basically confirms that that Jason was raised by Glaucus, and Glaucus was one of the was immortal who gained immortality by eating certain herbs and special herbs and spices, so to speak, and his rice-a-roni treat. Blah blah blah. Whatever. He's immortal, and Hippolyta had Glaucus smuggle Jason off of Themyscira after she gave birth to Jason. She doesn't want Hera, Zeus's wife, to know, because Hera's very jealous, because Hera has this habit of killing off all the women who her husband Zeus has sex with, and gets impregnated. And when he impregnates other women, she tends to kill off all the other women, because of course it must be the woman's fault. It couldn't possibly be that Zeus is just a philandering, promiscuous asshole, right? In any event, that's why they smuggled Jason off. And basically his origin is very Vanilla Sky. It's a very Vanilla Sky origin. There's nothing really exciting. In fact, the origin reminds me a lot of Clark Kent. It reminds me a lot of Superman. Basically, young Jason was raised by Glaucus, who's basically he's sort of like an adoptive parent, just like the Jonathan and Martha Kent were to Clark Kent. And Glaucus raised him to be basically a fisherman on the Greek islands, and that he fished off the Asian Sea growing up. And as he was growing up, his brother, I guess his half-brother Hercules, trained him how to fight, and he became very good with the spear. And as he grew up, Jason became very good at using the spear. He became very competent in hand-to-hand combat. He learned that he could fly, and he learned that he was somewhat invulnerable. And he also developed a connection to the tides and to nature, the tides and the wind and the air. And that's an additional power he has that's different than Wonder Woman. And that's really it. And then to add some tragedy to the end, Glaucus, his stepfather, or the person who raised him, decides to leave him, nonsensically decides to leave him at the last minute on his own, because Glaucus has his own, I don't know, he's a jerk. He's a jerk father. He leaves his son. And Glaucus's reasoning is that you're old enough now, you can take care of yourself, but whatever you do, don't, stay in hiding, don't reveal yourself, because if you reveal yourself, Hera's going to find you, and Hera's going to take her revenge on you, because you're the offspring of Zeus. Very, I don't know, very by the numbers. Again, nothing really, no big secrets here. And then it basically ends, I don't know why it ends on a cliffhanger that I find odd. They introduce the Deep Six, which are a group of, it ends with Jason being attacked by the Deep Six, which I don't know, maybe you guys can help me out, or maybe the Deep Six, are they like Aquaman villains? They look like a bunch of mermen. But this is extremely disappointing. I'm going to try to keep my rant to a minimum here. As an origin, this is very vanilla sky. It's an okay origin, okay? I mean, because let's face it, I mean, if you want to get technical, Superman's origin's kind of boring too, right? He's just rocketed from a doomed planet to Earth. He's raised by the Kents and he becomes Superman. So as origins go, Superman isn't all that exciting either, right? Jason's isn't really exciting at all. He's just, he's born a twin brother of Wonder Woman. He's smuggled off of Paradise Island and he's raised by a step-parent on the Greek islands, where when he gets older, he decides to, well, do whatever, we're not really sure, but he fights villains here and there. And he's trained by Hercules growing up. So that's his origin. Most of that we inferred at a minimum from the previous 3 issues. This is somewhat repetitive. The cover art it's a nice cover by Brian Hitch. It's a nice cover. The interior art's pretty good. I can't complain. The interior artist is Emanuela Lapacino, and the inks are done by Ray McCarthy. The colors are done by Romula Fajardo Jr. The letters are done by Shida Temofonte, and again, Brian Hitch and Brian Sinclair on the cover. James Robinson, the writer. Again, it's okay. It's not something that I think is going to blow people away, but it's a very Vanilla Sky type of origin, and I don't think it's he doesn't really have any flaws. It's not really going to offend anybody. There's no explanation here as to why he used Wonder Woman as his enemy. I suspect he was manipulated by Grail and Darkseid flowing out of last issue. We'll have to wait and see. One of the criticisms I have of James Robinson is as a writing this particular series. We're 4 issues in, and the way that he structured this storyline, he's really chopped it up. Issue 32 started off with Wonder Woman fighting some parademons, and then fighting then fighting Giganta, and then discovering that she had a brother because she met she met the executor of the estate of Hercules, and basically it ends with her discovering that she's got her brother Jason. That ended all in issue 32, so it started off great. It was well paced. Unfortunately, it went to pot soon after. The issue following that, it told the perspective of Grail and Darkseid, which we didn't need to know. And as a matter of fact, it would have been better left a mystery, because we already know that why Grail and Darkseid are looking for Jason. So it was a wasted issue, very much a wasted issue, and it ended with Darkseid and Grail finding Jason slightly before Wonder Woman found Jason in the issue before. Totally unnecessary. Then the 3rd issue in, we have Wonder Woman having a conversation with Jason with this issue ending that Jason considers Wonder Woman a villain, and him and Grail attack Wonder Woman. And now we flip-flop again, and now we're telling the origin of Jason. So this story is all over the place, very poorly paced. I don't enjoy the way it's been structured. It doesn't make for a very easy and enjoyable read. The story's not complicated, but it's a choppy, all over the place kind of feel. It's not going to read very well as a trade, just because of that. And but it is what it is. This as a story, this is probably a good done-in-one, except for the fact that this was really badly, except for the ending with him attacking mermen. What the hell? And now, I hope to God that we don't get. I don't want next issue to be Jason fighting mermen, or called the Deep Six. Good God. Any event, guys, maybe you feel differently. This is just a very Vanilla Sky type of origin here. There's nothing interesting about Jason, nothing at all. I'm extremely disappointed. I was hoping for a character that was going to be interesting, that was going to bring something new to the DC, to Wonder Woman's either Rogues Gallery or Wonder Woman's character base, but he isn't. He's extremely boring with a capital B, complete with his own set of blue capri pants, which apparently he wears those to every fight he goes to. Extremely disappointing. Just really, really disappointing. Wow. When you think of where this started off with Darkseid, where all the hype that this idea that Wonder Woman had a brother had, to end up with this character, is really a disappointment. Can I recommend this issue? I recommend this one particular issue, issue 35, only because you'll get a snapshot of Wonder Woman Brother's origin. You'll discover that it's boring as hell and forgettable, but you'll at least know about it. You know, at least you'll know what the origin is, and it's probably useful to know moving forward. But it's certainly not exciting. I mean, when you think about this for a second, think about how disappointing this is. Just you know, common sense. This is someone that was raised by a shipmate of Jason of the Argonauts. This was a character who was raised by a shipmate of Jason of the Argonauts, having such a boring existence, a boring childhood, a boring life. Boring. Occasionally Hercules would show up and teach him how to use his spear. Heck, even in one scene, even Hercules himself is wearing blue capri pants. The only difference is he's wearing a belt. This is very disappointing. I wish I could say, I'm trying to think of something exciting about this character. Does he have any flaws? No. Although I will say he appears to be heterosexual. For those of you who care about those things, when they did show him, it did show him with women, not with men. So he does have lovers, and he does imply that he's heterosexual. But who knows, right? Hard to say. As far as what else stands out about the issue, frankly, not much. I was really hoping for something a little bit more significant, that maybe he was part of him. He spent half his time on Apocalypse, half his time here, half his time there. That he was a wanderer. That Glaucus was a flawed character. That Glaucus wasn't this perfect, you know, little stepfather person, and then suddenly abandons him at the end. The potential for this Jason character to really be interesting, something that Wonder Woman's character gallery desperately needs, and to make him so Vanilla Sky. I'm so disappointed in James Robinson. Maybe he never had a choice. Maybe I have a hard time imagining Johns told him to make this character this boring. But this is a really big disappointment to me. This is a big disappointment to Wonder Woman in general. So much so that, and I said this diplomatically on the video that I destroyed because I was too harsh, but I really don't care if this character gets killed off. He's too boring. Wonder Woman needs more of an exciting character in her life. This guy is boring with a capital B. If he dies, if he gets killed by Grail or Darkseid or gets drained of his powers, I don't care. As a matter of fact, all of the sons and daughters of Zeus who Grail has killed so far and drained their energy for Darkseid, for her father Darkseid, all of those characters, all of them shown, are more interesting. Even the one that looked like she was a librarian seemed to be more interesting than Jason. That's the sad part here. Really sad. But in any event, guys, that's Wonder Woman's brother Jason. Ooh. Check it out if you want, but if you don't, you're not missing much. So that's it up. That's all I got to say about the most boring new character of the DC Universe. Comic Boob, out.